we're live with election coverage for 2020 from Napa Valley TV.
And we have quite a busy night tonight. I mean, after all, 2020 has turned out to be quite an exciting election. And part of our evening is going to be talking with the candidates here in Napa Valley about what's important to them, why did they run, and what do they feel are the important issues in the Valley. And we're going to be talking through 3 of our correspondents. We have 3 correspondents who are going to be live streaming with candidates all over the Valley. They are Sandy Fagan, Brenda Knight, and Kristin Miller. Now, Sandy's going to be working with the people all up Valley, Yountville, St. Helena, and Calistoga. Brenda knows everybody, it seems like, in American Canyon. She's going to be working with them. And then Kristin Miller is going to be working with the people here in the city.
And Napa Valley TV is a great resource. You should really bookmark napavalleytv.org on your browser because it's a great resource, especially in times of exciting news or emergencies.
Yes.
It's a great resource for you to have, and we're always posting things on the website that are really helpful for you.
Now, it's also being live streamed on our YouTube channel, Napa Valley TV, also on YouTube, and it's going there on high def because our studio is high def. And it's important to realize that Napa Valley TV has been around for over 40 years. We're a First Amendment organization. We exist to make sure that you have a voice that's unfiltered by commercial interests. And, you know, if you have an interest in television and producing or in just simply making your voice heard, come down and become a member.
And here's a little bit more about Napa Valley TV with a voiceover from Lauren Moe.
Have you always wanted to be on TV? Think you have what it takes to produce your own TV show that airs throughout Napa Valley? At Napa Valley TV, we can help make that a reality. Napa Valley TV airs on Comcast Channels 27 and 28, AT&T Channel 99, and online at napavalleytv.org. For more information, visit napavalleytv.org or call 707-257-0574 today.
It's really great to be able to have local people come in and make their television shows and have their voices heard here at this wonderful station and be a part of this community.
Now, we have a lot of races going on throughout the Valley. In American Canyon, we have the mayoral race between Leon Garcia and Mark Joseph. We're going to be talking with them this evening, I hope. These two have known each other for many years, and they both have very good ideas about what's important to American Canyon. One of the things that seemed to be most important when we were talking to them before, because they came in and did PSAs with us beforehand, was the traffic.
And then the council, there's a race for the council seats as well. And there's 5 people running for city council in American Canyon. That's Mariam Abudamos, Eric Altman, Joey Palma, Jason Kishneff, and Pierre Washington.
Now, in Napa City, we have 3 people running for mayor. We have Doris Gentry, we have Scott Sedgley, and we have Gerardo Martin. This is going to be a very interesting race because it's a 3-way race after all, so you never quite know how things like that turn out.
Right. And of course, the city council this year it's a little bit different. It's split up into Area 2 and Area 4. So in Area 2, the people running for city council are James Hinton, Beth Painter, Paul Stoddard, and David Campbell.
Now, this is very different from how it's been done before. It used to be that everyone voted for all the council members, and then so they could come from all different sections of the city. But now we're voting by district. So now the person in your district who you vote for, they really are your representative for your neighbor. And over in Area 4, we have Bernie Narvaez and Renee Cazares.
Now we're moving on up the valley to the town of Yountville, where we've got the city council candidates are Scott Owens, Marjorie Moeller, Jeff Durham, and Eric Knight.
And then we have the mayoral candidates for the city of St. Helena. And this is another three-way race. We have Jeff Ellsworth, Mary Koberstein, and Peter White. And Jeff, of course, Ellsworth is the incumbent. So this should be an interesting race too. Whenever you have these three ways, I think it's always interesting because it can get, you have split votes. It's always interesting when there's a third candidate.
Right.
And then we go to the City Council of St. Helena.
We've got Eric Hall, Lester Hardy, Rosario Segura, Leslie Stanton, and David Knudsen.
And realize that in each case you have 2 seats that are opening up in each one of these towns. So these people are running basically for the top 2 spots.
Well, and I think they alternate every other year.
Right.
When we have the other election in 2 years' time, the other 2 city council members will be replaced.
Right. And then up in Cal, who's been the mayor for quite a few years now, who's running unopposed, which is, and after all,
A real nail biter, right?
a real nice situation to be in. I remember it was the last time that our mayor in the city of Napa,
Jill Teckle.
she ran unopposed as well, and I still wished her good luck on her campaign. And then we have the city council candidates for the city of Calistoga. We have Eras Lopez Ortega, who is an incumbent. We have Lisa Gift, Spiro Macras, and Michael Dunsford. It's really wonderful to see how many people are stepping up to be candidates. It's quite a commitment, and you sometimes wonder, in our busy times, how people find the time to, be willing to do that. They have lives.
And you've been seeing all the posters all around with all the names on it. So our Up Valley remote correspondents will be interviewing some of these people, and it'll be nice for you to get to see a face that goes with the names.
Exactly. So earlier this year, not that long ago, I did an interview with John Tudor, who is our official of elections. And it's funny because you'll see at the beginning I mentioned to John, this seems like a year in which elections are very important. People are really concerned with elections. And John said, hey, in the elections office, we're concerned about it every day. And so we have a wonderful interview with John. He came in here in the studio. We socially distanced. And he was able to talk quite a bit about
all the details that go into
what goes on to your wonderful voting mask.
Our daughter found it for me, and I'm about to take it off because we are socially distancing, but this is the word for this election, and we are having a very large interest from the community in making sure they can and will vote. So I'm going to take it off, but I wanted people to see it.
Yes. Now, how long have you been the registrar?
I'm in my 23rd year as registrar of voters and my 42nd year with the county as a whole.
Have you ever seen a year in which voting and ballots have been this much a central topic?
Well, from the registrar's perspective, voting is always a central topic, and making sure people can exercise that precious franchise to vote is very important. There's a lot of controversy around this election, and I've never seen that before. And that's what is concerning me, and that's also why I'm here with you to help voters and our public understand that this election is going to be safe, it's going to be secure, and we're going to urge people to vote early so we get results as quickly as we can after the election day.
What's the way in which we keep it safe?
Well, the first way to keep it safe, especially given the pandemic, is for people to use their vote-by-mail ballot. We are sending 82,000 ballots between October 5th and October 30th. That's the way you're going to participate for 95% of the voters in Napa County. They're going to use that vote-by-mail ballot. Now, they have 3 ways of returning it. They can put it in the mail. We suggest that they do that a week before the election if they want that ballot counted and in the count on election night at 8:01 p.m. They can drop it in one of our official drop boxes, which open on Tuesday, October 6th. They're open from 8 a.m. 24/7 until Tuesday, November 3rd, 2020, Election Day at 8 p.m. or they can use our drive-through voting, which takes place on Monday, November 2nd and Tuesday, November 3rd at 4 of our vote centers.
How do they find the location of the drop boxes?
Everything is on our website, just countyofnapa.org. If you put that in and then go to Elections Department, everything is there under the current election. The location of all 11 drop boxes, the location of our vote centers, which vote centers offer drive-through voting, and of course, the dates and times that they're open.
Personally, I come down and I drop it off at your office.
That's acceptable. I hope you use the drop box outside.
This year.
That's right, because we are urging people to avoid as much in-person contact as possible. We are planning for pandemic prevention at each of our vote centers, so there's going to be a screening outside the vote center. We're hoping most people will have used their vote by mail ballot, so we won't have a lot of traffic. And the people there will be taking temperatures, will be offering masks if someone doesn't have a mask, we'll be giving hand sanitizer, and we're providing people with a stylus that they can keep to mark our touchscreen voting machines, which capture their vote but then print a paper ballot. So everything in this election's paper from beginning to end. It's the most secure, and it's the best way to go, so we have a perfectly clear trail of who voted and how they voted. We can't put together who voted with how that person voted, but we can put together that they legitimately cast their ballot and we counted that secret ballot.
It would seem to me that from the point of view of the registrars and the people responsible for securing the vote, that the mail ballot is actually a better system because you know who you're mailing to. You know you're mailing to registered voters.
That's correct. And of course, people can continue to register up until Monday, October 19th at midnight. They can register online at the Secretary of State's website, which is sos.ca.gov. They can register online until midnight on the 19th, and we'll still get them a ballot. After the 20th, Tuesday, the 20th of October, they can still register up to and including Election Day, but they have to do that in person, which is what we're trying to avoid. But we are available in our office from the 20th to the 30th. And then, of course, our vote centers open on Halloween, and they're open Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. But if you are going to come in person, I'm urging you to come on Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. We have very little traffic in the past, who knows in this election, but it should be lighter traffic. You're not going to see the lines. You're not going to have to wait for social distancing within the vote center. We're limited as to how many voters can be in the vote center at one time. So we really want to avoid some of the chaos public has seen in other states earlier in this election, in Wisconsin and Georgia, with long lines. We're trying to avoid that. That's why everyone in California gets a vote by mail ballot. Use it. And you can be sure that that ballot's going to be counted without having to do anything except go online. So also on our website is your voter information. That's the County of Napa website. You can go on that website. It tells you when your ballot was mailed to you. It tells you when we received it, and it tells you if we're ready to count it or not. Now, it'll say good if it's ready to count. If it's challenged, that means you may have forgotten to sign the return envelope, or your signature's been challenged for some reason because it doesn't match the signature in our office. Now, that's one of the reasons that voting by mail is so secure. We check every signature on all, hopefully 60 to 70,000 ballots against the signature in our database. And that means that we know not only who got that ballot, but we know who voted it. And one of the tips I really want to stress for this election, a lot of people don't remember how they signed their registration. I registered for the first time in 1976 in Napa County. Well, not the first time, but the most recent time. My signature hasn't changed, but a lot of people, even if they're younger and have just registered, change their signature. So don't worry about whether it's going to match. Have somebody witness your signature. It can be a family member, a friend, a neighbor, an acquaintance. It can be somebody who works in the facility. If you live in a congregate care facility, one of the staff can witness your signature. All they have to do is sign their name. You sign yours. They watch you. They sign theirs. There's a space on the return envelope, and that signature will glide right through. So witnessing your signature is one of our themes for the 2020 presidential election.
That's a very good solution to make sure that people feel assured their vote's going to count.
Absolutely. So if you do see for any reason, like you forgot to sign your return envelope, can't do anything about that, but you can fix it. So we will notify you if your signature doesn't match and you forgot to have it witnessed, or if you forgot to sign, and you have 22 days after the election to fix that. We'll send you a letter which you can return to us with a signature. We'll attach that to the original envelope that you forgot to sign, and your vote will be counted.
It's interesting how people are so focused now on having the results so quickly, and yet for the first 100 years or so of our democracy, it took a long time to count the votes.
Oh, absolutely. Now it's a lot different, and that's one of the things of our major themes, besides vote safe and vote securely, is vote early. And that means if you get your ballot to the post office a week before the election or into one of our drop boxes by Halloween, you're going to be in that election night count. You're going to be at that 8:01 count. And for the last decade and more, Napa County's been the first county in the state of California out of all 58 to report our results. We're always first, and we're going to be first again for this election. And if you want to be in that count, which, you know, with 50%, I hope, of the vote in that count, maybe more if people do vote early, that's a pretty good determinant of what the election's going to look like, the outcome. Unless it's a very close race, less than 50 votes, you're pretty sure who's won that race on election night. Of course, if it's close, you have to wait until we certify the election, but that will be by November 30th. So we'll be counting after Election Day as well. We start on November the 6th, Monday the 9th, Tuesday the 10th, and then, of course, Wednesday the 11th is Veterans Day, and we have a holiday, and we'll be closed. And then we'll have 95% of the vote counted on the 12th of November. And we'll release those results, which will give you, the voters and the public, an even clearer picture of how the election's turning out. Then the last 5%, we don't publish until we certify on November 30th. We would certify earlier, but we have both Veterans Day holiday and the 2 Thanksgivings Day holidays on the 26th and 27th. So my target is to certify on the 30th of November.
Well, thank you, John, for sharing in detail what goes into getting our votes counted this year.
Well, I have 3 jobs. One, to make sure every eligible citizen registers to vote. And we have 10,000 eligible citizens in Napa County who are not registered to vote. Then to make sure every registered voter votes. And finally, to make sure every one of those votes is counted accurately.
I want to thank John again for doing that interview. We're both producers here at the station. We produce our shows and we interview people all the time, and he was the easiest person to interview because he's been with the county for, I think, 48 years, something like that. I mean,
Actually, 47 years and 11 months, but who's counting?
So he's definitely got the hang of it, but he knew this topic so well that he hit every single point that we needed to know. And after editing all this, I was such an expert on voting that wherever I went, I would always fill people in on, oh, by the way, you can do this up to this date, and make sure you witness it. Very important to witness it, because that's the biggest thing that people have their ballots rejected for, is they don't match the signature.
And one thing he didn't mention there, but if you just found out that you moved a stack of papers and you found that you got your vote sitting there and you forgot to mail it in, you can take it down to the in-person voting locations that are open now, and you can show them, you can drop it off right there. Or if you've made a mistake on your ballot, you can bring the spoiled ballot to them and they'll let you vote in person.
Now down in American Canyon, there's one at the American Canyon Holiday Inn Express Suites. There's also one at the
Boys and Girls Club?
Boys and Girls Club, which is always a good place, and everyone I'm sure knows where that is, over on Benton Way. And up in Angwin.
At the Angwin Firehouse.
Right, 275 College Ave. Now, in Calistoga, luckily it's a little town, it's at the Calistoga Community Center on 1307 Washington Street.
And you've got 3 locations in Napa, the Las Flores Community Center, the Napa County Election Division, and at Napa Valley College at the Performing Arts Lobby.
So if you're in Napa, you have no excuse for not being able to get your vote in. Now, it's funny.
St. Helena?
Oh, I'm sorry.
We have to do
We
St.
still have
Helena.
Santa. I forgot St.
Sure.
Helena. I feel so
Napa
bad
Valley
about that.
College and the Upper Valley campus is the location for St. Helena.
That's where,
and then,
that's where I take my Spanish class.
I know. And then in Yountville, you've got the Yountville Community Center.
Exactly, which everyone knows where that is. It's right in the middle of the town, next door to the post office, in case you were wondering.
So it's getting late. There's a little bit of time left to vote.
Now, it's amazing how many people have turned out to vote this year. And it's funny because with COVID, you would think it's making it too difficult to vote. And yet, because so many places have gone, like California, to more mail-in voting, our voting levels are much higher than they've been in about 90 years. And we always say, you know, politicians always say, if everyone really had a vote, we'd have a much better country. Because it's the genius of the crowd. You know, you get a group of people together and get everyone's, you know, unfettered opinion, and you average it out, you oftentimes come to the right answer. You know, it's the genius of the collective group. So when you get a lot of people voting, it's fantastic. And usually it's all the older people who vote and the young people don't. And, you know, we're a little older, so if you want to leave it all up to us, that's nice. But we think the young people should vote too.
Well, I think that a lot of people are more motivated than they used to be for a lot of reasons. And even though COVID may be an impediment in some ways, it's also an instigator for people to vote because there's a lot of things that need to be changed so that we're safe. You know, and as of yesterday, it seems that over 54,000 ballots had been returned and processed, which is 63.6% overall turnout of registered voters.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and in the last presidential election as of November 2016, we had 37,695 voters had returned their ballots at this point in the election cycle. So this is a 49% overall turnout. When that election was certified, 82% of Napa County's registered voters had cast ballots, which is really impressive. We really do participate here. And to quote from this is from the John Tudor, essentially. If this trend continues, we would approach a 90% final turnout, which would be the highest turnout in the past 60 years. It's remarkable. I mean, I think one of the reasons why Napa is so special is because people do participate.
And so when John Tudor recorded that with you, he said there were 10,000 voters that hadn't registered. So we're going to have to work hard to help our friends and neighbors get registered to vote.
I think one of the reasons why turnout is so high this year is because so many places like California have gone to mail-in voting. So, you know, it's one thing to know I've got to go down there and I've registered. I don't remember when I registered or where I was registered, or have they moved my office, or have they moved this or that. And so many places in the country, people closed up offices on them, you know, changed the voting places. But when you get the ballot in the mail and it comes with your name, it tells you right away, it matters to us that you are voting. And you don't, what else do you have to do? You have to fill it out, you put it in the mail, or you can bring it down like we did to the registrar's office. But that reminder, you know, people had to be reminded to participate, don't you think?
Absolutely.
Because otherwise they're too busy.
Absolutely.
I mean, are you busy?
Personally, a little sometimes.
So,
But you know, I think that we are ready with a live interview from Kristin Miller with Scott Sedgley, the Napa's mayor candidate.
yes, and Scott currently is on the council, and he's now running for mayor. I think he's been on the council for quite a few years. So let's see what Kristin is talking with Scott about.
We are joined here tonight by current City Council member Scott Sedgley, who's running for mayor. And I'm giddy with excitement. It's just before 8 o'clock. Thank you so much, Scott, for joining us tonight. And please do tell the audience, what made you decide to run for mayor?
Thank you, Kristin. Napa's my hometown. I've worked a career with the Napa Fire Department here. I've served in a lot of capacities on boards and foundations. I worked with the Napa Valley Unified School District Board of Trustees for 9 years. I've served on City Council since 2012. Mayor Tekel, we like to refer to her as Mayor Jill, had decided to retire. And she approached me and she said, Scott, you're highly qualified. You're great to work with. I trust you. And so with her endorsement and her support, I said, yes, I'm ready and I will run for mayor in 2020. And that's how we ended up here.
Moving forward, if everything goes well and you end up being our next mayor, what is one of the first things that you're going to tackle in office?
Thank you, Kristin. And what we will all tackle at City Hall is the economic recovery post-COVID. That's the most important thing for us to do right now, is support our local businesses, support our families, our working men and women. We have to get everybody back to work. And that's going to be the highest priority. It's the highest priority now. Because without a functioning economy, your community cannot deliver the services that our neighbors, our citizens deserve. Police and fire, sidewalks and streets and water and sanitation, all those things come with a vibrant economy. So that's the biggest charge is recovery from the pandemic. Following that, we're going to keep tackling the housing shortage. You know, we have a critical need for housing that working men and women can afford to live in and raise their families. We're working on a general plan right now, general plan update that will address those housing issues. So that's the next the big challenge we have is to keep Napa full of families going to school, working families, men and women. That's the biggest charge.
Wow, you've got your work cut out for you, but I know that you've got the experience and wherewithal to make this happen. You've got a great team, so we're excited for what comes next. Either way, you're running a great race, so we wish you the best, and I thank you for being here and joining us. And back to you, Ralph and Lahni in the studio.
Kristin. Thank you very much, Kristin. Thank you, Scott. Well, he's really had quite a career involved with Napa. It's interesting. I love the backstory about him and Mayor Jill, because Mayor Jill did a TV show here at the station for about 12 years. And I worked behind the camera many, many times, and it was the most informative episode. And I really hope that whoever's mayor going forward might decide they want to do a show too, because it was tremendously informative. You know, and it's great to see public servants who are that dedicated.
And now I see we have another interview coming in with Sandy Fagan and Chris Canning, sorry, up in Calistoga.
First of all, good afternoon or good evening, Sandy. Thank you so much for the opportunity to be with you. I have been the mayor of Calistoga for the past 8 years. And I am up for re-election this time around. And right now I'm the only person on that ballot. So it looks like I'll be the mayor for the next 2 years as well. For me, the most satisfying has been the fact that I can actually see the work we do having immediate impact to those closest to us, neighbors, family, friends, etc. You know, to your point, we have certainly had more than our fair share of challenges, certainly in the last 4 years and over the course of the 8 years that I've been here. But seeing what has happened and the benefits we've brought to the community over that very difficult period of challenge has been very rewarding and kind of keeps me moving forward. Not every day is easy, but the overall has been very satisfying and beneficial for all of us.
Thank you. If you could talk to the candidates for council that are also on the ballot this year, is there anything that you might have to say to them?
So as you're aware, there are 4 candidates for 2 seats, and 2 of the incumbents are running again. So they have a pretty good idea of what's ahead of them. For the other 2 candidates, should either of them or both of them get selected. I would say come in with an open mind, come in prepared, come in willing to put a lot of hard work in. I know the first year that I was elected on city councils 10 years ago, I thought I had all the answers before it started and figured how hard could this be. The reality of the situation is it's very different than anything you've ever done in the past. It's very different than any job or company you've come from. And you have to be very open to the opportunities as well as the challenges.
Yeah, thanks so much, Mayor Canning. We really appreciate your time and all the good work that you do on behalf of your community. Appreciate you spending a little time here on election night with us. And we'll now go back to the studio, back to Ralph and to Lahni. I'll toss it back to you.
Thank you very much.
You know, I bet really the way you want to be in politics is run and not have anyone against you. I mean, it's like perfect. I would run if I could do that.
Thank you to Sandy and Chris for that. And a reminder, the polls aren't going to be open forever. We're running up on time. The polls close at 8 o'clock. So if you have to get down there and place a last minute vote, go now. And you know, another thing that was on the ballot this year was about 12 propositions, some of them a little bit confusing. We talked to a lot of people and they said, oh, I interpreted it to be this way. And they ended up saying, oh, maybe I voted the wrong way because I didn't really get it. But a couple of them are ones that we hear people are very interested in. I thought we'd talk about a couple of them, you know. You want to talk about Proposition 15?
Yeah, that's
called the split roll.
The split roll, and I think this really applies here in Napa especially, and this is the one in which it's one more issue essentially to correct things that happened with Proposition 13, where they eliminated a lot of tax revenue, and now they had to find ways to bring it back because some of our services that are, after all, still suffering. You know, there's the hospitals, there's the schools that could really use more money. So this is basically a tax on certain types of commercial real estate worth $3 million or more. Now, what's interesting for Napa, and realize that for small businesses, if you're below $3 million in your value, then it's not an issue to you, but over $3 million is a tax. Napa is interesting because agriculture is exempted. Well, that's great if you own a vineyard, but what if you own a vineyard and a winery? Part of your business is agriculture, and part of your business is food manufacturing. So how much is your winery worth related to the agriculture? This is a very tricky issue that we have, and you know, but they still have to find ways in which they can generate income because, frankly, the schools truly need it, the services truly need it. It's funny when, for many people who move into California from out of state, where states don't have propositions, the first time that little book shows up with all the propositions in it, and you have like this little phone book that you have to read, it's quite a revelation. You know, and you get better and better at reading legalese, but it's still tricky. And it's funny how when it comes down to taxes, people always seem to figure that one out.
Right, right.
Now the next one, and this is actually real interesting, and this is Proposition 22.
Yeah, it's called Rules for App-Based Drivers.
Right.
And it really has a lot of effect here in our particular valley because of the fact that it affects the tourism industry as well as the rest of the hospitality industry so much.
Right. And people don't realize that in the North Bay, especially in the wine country, transportation is a very big business. And the average age of people in the North Bay, like in Sonoma and Napa, is actually quite higher than the average. The average is about 37. In North Bay, it's up in the 40s. Well, many of the drivers who do work for the limousine companies and do wine tours are older, and there's a really good reason for that. One is that, first of all, if you're going to drive people around the valley who are drinking all day long, it's great if you have a sense of humor. It's great if you are a parent because the people start acting like kids after a certain point. And it's great if you're a little more boring because you have to be drug tested. So as a result, there's a lot of good jobs up here for older people. Well, when Uber and Lyft showed up on the scene, the number of limousine jobs dropped by 40% throughout the state. About 40% of the companies just disappeared throughout the state. Well, people don't realize that the single biggest job for men in America is driving. So more automated systems and these systems of, the gig-based systems very much impact that, with part-timers taking away full-time jobs. Now, this is an issue for us here, but realize that people like their convenience. Also, these companies are very, very profitable, and you can really tell that this was a big issue by the amount of money that was put into it.
Well, and with the safety concerns in an area where you're doing wine tours, for example, you really want to have people who have been trained, who know where they're going, the wineries and things like that. The GPS doesn't work that well sometimes, and so it's very important to have that type of driving. It's not like, oh, I need a lift to go downtown for XYZ, I mean, the requirements for transportation in wine country are a little bit more complicated and serious, especially with our little windy goat paths that we call roads and things like that. So this is one that a lot of people feel strongly about.
I mean, imagine that you're a wine tour driver driving around wine country with a car full of drinkers in the back. Realize you're spending the entire day driving around people who are drinking and driving because they didn't hire people. So it tends to make people very defensive, which is why, like I said, a lot of them tend to be older. To give you an idea of how contentious this is, on the one side, Lyft, DoorDash, Uber have put $200 million into getting this passed. On the other side put $20 million, and it was primarily labor unions, service unions, things that were basically watching out for the rights of the workers. So it's been a very hotly contested issue, and it's going to be very interesting to see if people choose workers' rights or they choose convenience. So if they choose convenience, I won't be surprised. People are people. But on the other hand, it would be nice if they chose workers' rights to make sure these people are more protected. There's a lot of other propositions. As the evening goes on, we'll see if we can touch on some other ones. One of the ones I think that is very interesting was the one about bail, about how getting rid of cash bail. And it's funny because it wasn't one that even a lot of money was thrown out, but I think it's really a human rights issue. And I think it's something that came out of recognizing that people of color were being jailed for long periods of time unnecessarily.
Well, people without means.
Yeah, without
because
means.
They just didn't have the chance to
exactly.
come up with the bail.
Repeal of cash bail. And I think this was a real, what was that statistic we heard a while ago that a certain percentage, a large percentage, like half the people in the country, would have difficulty if they had to come up with $300 for an emergency. Well, what's bail?
Yeah.
What's bail? And for a minor issue, they want to keep the person there. I think this was a very important human rights issue, and I think it's a very Californian issue, because I think human rights is something that people feel very strongly about.
California does really well.
Does really well.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think you're right.
Yeah, workers' rights, human rights have always been very important here. So now, let's see, do we have any other correspondents on the Valley?
I think we have Brenda Knight coming in with an interview, standing by with Mark Joseph.
Ah, excellent.
Let's go to Brenda.
Hi, this is Brenda Knight, and I'm live with a candidate for mayor of American Canyon, Mark Joseph. Welcome, Mark. How are you?
Hi.
So tell me, if you are elected as mayor, talk to us a little, but briefly, about 3 engaging topics that you might want to get around to as mayor, and what do you plan to do just a little differently?
Well, the big 3 are the ones that have always been my big 3. Dealing with traffic, building our economy and restoring our fiscal health, and maybe the newest one, dealing with climate change. So all of those have been items that everyone's concerned about. I do think that I have some specific plans to address traffic, particularly the Newell extension. I do think with my financial background and city manager background, I think I can do a good job with the business development. I think there's some dynamics going on that we can take advantage of. And on climate change, Councilmember Leary and I have been on the countywide climate action committee for a year now. So it's given me an opportunity to really kind of develop some specific events and programs and activities that the city can take advantage of. And those are the areas I want to focus on if I'm elected.
And the thing is, we in a pandemic world, Mark. So tell me, how are you going to work and engage the community and do all of those things when we're so limited?
Well, let's hope that we get a better federal response, both in terms of providing financial assistance to states and cities, as well as dealing with the public health aspects itself. So I think if the federal response is better, our lives will be better too. But barring that or waiting for that, I think the big issues are going to be dealing with the financial consequences, but also doing like we've been doing. We're living in a Zoom world. So one of the things I want to do is more town hall meetings. It's not as effective, but we can do that on Zoom, at least to start with, and eventually get in person when the time comes. So it'll be different, but I think we can still focus on the issues that matter and make things happen.
Sounds like a plan, Mark. Well, we thank you for coming by. It's getting close to the hour for the polls to be closed. And unfortunately, we can't be out and about town having the big party. So are you all ready with your family bubble to be watching the numbers as they come in?
Yeah, there won't be a big party. It'll just be probably Cheryl and me and maybe a couple of other Zoom players on a line or something. It's very weird this year, isn't it?
It really is. Well, whatever you plan to do while you watch the numbers come in, be safe and have a good time. This is the election year.
Yeah.
And and it's almost time for the polls to close. So I'm anxious, and I know you are extremely anxious. So thank you for joining us. We look forward to, hey, we may give you another call later on tonight and see what's up.
All right. Well, thank you. And thank you for giving me a chance to make a few last remarks before the big moment.
All righty. Take care, Mark. Back to you, Ralph and Lahni in the studio.
And thank you, Brenda and Mark. And remember, time is ticking away. There's still a little bit of time to vote. So if you've got that vote there, go to the polling places that we mentioned before, because you've got a few more minutes.
Yeah, you could grab an Uber. Because that may not
Grab
last
a
much
neighbor.
Longer. Or neighbor,
You know,
better yet.
the late vote counts exactly the same as an early vote. So it's never too late to vote.
Exactly.
Except when the polls close.
Exactly. Now, it's funny, and even though there's quite a few propositions throughout the state, locally in the county of Napa County, Napa Valley, there's not that many ones that are happening, but the one that's really gotten a lot of attention, the measure that's gotten a lot of attention is Measure T in Yountville.
Well, you know, usually we have the props and the measures, and everybody's totally confused because what's the difference between a prop and a measure? And the measures are more local, more localized. The props are statewide, but this Measure T is the one in Yountville, and I'm going to let you talk about it.
Exactly, and this is the one about whether or not they can have basically a cannabis salon, a place where you can go and purchase cannabis for recreational purposes. You could actually use it there. You can, you know, you have the wide variety of products these days. And I always think it's funny that Napa isn't more sympathetic to cannabis, because Napa suffered horribly from prohibition from like basically 1919 for the next 13 years. It shut the economy down. It went from about 150 wineries down to 3 overnight, and just turned this busy place into back into a little farming village again for 13 years due to a prohibition. Well, the prohibition that's been for cannabis has been going on for what, about 90 years now, 85 or 90 years for an herb, you know, the same herb that, you know, is part of what do you get CBD from? Hemp, which is what they use for printing, you know, the paper for the Bibles and for the sails that Columbus used. It was a very important material, and this is very much a political reason why it was done, and it's gone on for years. And what's funny is that in this period of time where cannabis has been has a federal prohibition, right? Even though it has lots of medical uses, and it's coming out more and more as research is being done. At the same time, tobacco, which has killed how many people in the country and caused how much disease in the country, has never been prohibited in that entire time. It's just an interesting issue. And yet in Yountville, which is about 3,000 people, they want to have a salon. It's going to be very, closely regulated. There's a lot of discussion back and forth about it. I think that people are worried about it's going to be stinky and it's going to be noisy. But the reality is that there's a lot of tasting rooms there too, and alcohol is more potent than cannabis. But it will also generate quite a bit of revenue, and they're thinking any place between $30,000 and $100,000, which is no small thing, which could be, quite a help. And I think it's an interesting thing. Now, one of the things I think it's really funny about this is that Napa, the city of Napa, because every town can regulate it, the city of Napa regulates their dispensary as a medical dispensary. You have to have a prescription to go there. In Vallejo, there's no requirement. So there's cannabis shops all over the place. But in Napa, you have to have your prescription. So basically, people could now drive up to Yountville to get their cannabis, which is kind of like driving up to the frontier. Going on to
Yountville, the frontier. Okay.
And people don't realize that during the Prohibition era, that Napa became the popular place for people from outside the Bay Area to drive up to get their hooch and to get their wine. This was a very popular area for that. And what's funny is that it got really wild because at first everyone was making wine, and then wine takes a long time to make. Well, they understood fermentation science. So what they started doing was everyone started making stills, because it was much faster and more compact, and you could ship it more easily. Well, the Italian neighborhood was especially good at this. And I think we're over on the east side of town. And they said periodically you hear these explosion goes off on the east side of town. It says, oh, those Italians, they still got jammed up again, and it blew up. But this was a very big thing. The biggest problem was that it's just like our roads are today. They're windy and dark, and people would come up to buy hooch. They drink up here. They try to get themselves home again on windy, narrow roads, and disasters would happen.
I haven't heard that word hooch in a long time.
Hooch.
You're showing your age.
Yes. So,
But I'm just being told we're getting a interview standing by, Sandy Fagan with Iris Lopez Ortega.
From Calistoga, yes.
So thank you, Ralph. Thanks, Lahni, in the studio. We appreciate that. We have an opportunity to speak a little bit with candidate Iris Lopez Ortega. Iris, what inspired you to run again for another term?
Well, I feel like there is many things that they need to still be done in Calistoga. We had too much to accomplish, and the actual consuls and myself, I think we are committed to finish, as much as possible of the projects that we have. And also it's just natural. I just want to serve the community one way or another. So I feel like I need to keep representing the Latino community. I need to keep being a voice for the ones that they cannot be, their voice cannot be listened, and just keep serving the community is my major inspiration to do this.
Was there any specific issue that you had tackled your last term that specifically sort of compelled you to want to run again? Was there a specific challenge or situation that arose that you tackled that you were really motivated by?
Yes, I want to really have empower the Latino community. I want them to participate more. I want to reach out and to to inspire the Latino community that we bring too much to this valley, to this Napa Valley, through our work, through our hard work, that I think we should participate more. We have to be able to to have a voice in the decisions that they take place locally. So that's one my main goal is for this coming years if I get reelected.
Thank you so much. I know this is a busy night, election night and all, so I won't keep you any longer, but I just thank you very much for giving us a little of your time and letting us know sort of how you're thinking about your community in the long term. Take care.
I
And
really
best wishes.
appreciate it. Thank you very much for the opportunity, and I'm glad you voted because I'm sure you did. Thank you.
You bet. Thanks. And now back to you, Ralph, Lahni, in the studio.
Thank you, Sandy, in a race. And you know what? It's less than 10 minutes till the polls close. If you need to vote, you need to go now.
Right, yes.
But don't hesitate because every vote counts.
Make your voice heard.
Yeah, and 801, we're hoping for
Yeah.
some early returns. So get your vote in there so it's one of the ones that are counted in those early returns.
They're telling us that we have another person, Brenda Knight from American Canyon is standing by with Joey Palma, who's running for council down there. So let's see what
Take it away, Brenda.
Joey have to say.
This is Brenda Knight, and I'm with one of my neighbors in American Canyon, Joey Palmer, who is running for city council. Wow, Joey, you stepped up to the plate, man. How's it going during this pandemic time campaigning?
It was a very big plate. It was so good.
So tell me, what was your platform? What were you doing when you were out there, Joey? Talk to us.
Well, I see that I can help in the economic recovery of American Canyon and also enhance public infrastructure. You know, I am a case manager of a home care company, and also I have seen the needs of the seniors, the disabled, and the marginalized. I would like to address those three.
Sounds great, Joey. Well, if you are elected, what are some of the things you're planning to do to engage our community? Because we're kind of laid back in American Canyon.
Well, definitely. I had 3 months of campaign, and I started already in community engagement. I have met with the business people, the seniors, and the young people, and some disabled. And I can see that there are many more shareholders of the company that I would like to touch on. But definitely, I will continue on with my platform of economic recovery, addressing the needs of our traffic, addressing the needs of the seniors who have not fully can afford the kind of care that they need every day.
Sounds good, Joey. Well, the campaign is about to end. It's time for the votes to be counted. And now I know you're going to be sitting around with your family in the family bubble getting ready. Are you ready to start watching the count?
Oh, not yet. I'm still working on the counts. I'm still getting commitments every day. I still walk the precincts. I go to parks. I will probably sit down and watch probably the night of the election. And the campaign is very tough. There's no time to rest. There's no time to be lax. And I cannot be complacent about it.
Yeah, so the polls are getting ready to close, Joey. So it's going to be time for you to sit with the family, and we all going to be watching the count. So hang in there. I wish you a lot of luck, and thank you for stepping up to the plate to want to serve our community. So thank you for being with us tonight, and I look forward to meeting you and seeing you around town. Take care now, Joey.
Thank you, Brenda, and thank you, American Canyon folks, for trusting your vote. Thank you. We will make it together. God bless you all.
All right. It's back to you, Ralph and Lahni in the studio.
Thanks, Brenda. That was great. And you were right. The polls are just about to close. less than 10 minutes, about 5 minutes.
Yep.
I hope you're in line there or you're over there already, ready to drop off your ballot in person if you're going to do it late. We're going to be seeing election results soon, but they won't be final election results because they don't include the ballots that haven't been received yet. Is that yours? So drop it off. If you're standing there and you're ready to drop it off, drop it off real quick. 5 more minutes left.
Right. But the first ones come out at 8:01, both in the state and locally, so we'll start getting an idea of what's happening. So, and there's a lot of races going on. Remember, down in American Canyon, we have the mayor running, and then we have 2 council seats up for election as well. And so, you know, Joey is one of the people going for that, and it's wonderful to see the faces of the people who are running for these things. You know, I mean, it's important to have a face that goes with the name that's on that ballot. Because they are, after all, your advocates. They're the people who are supposed to stand up for you and are listening to you. So voice your opinion to them. Now, in the city of Napa, we have the mayor, of course. We have 3 people running for that, and we have 2 council seats. What is it, number 2 and number
4.
4, exactly, 2
Area
districts.
2 and Area 4.
Because this year we're voting by district for the first time, which I think is a very good system.
Right.
In Yountville, they're not voting for the mayor, but they are voting for the 2 council seats, and they're voting on Measure T. And it's going to be very interesting when you drive up through Yountville. There's signs all over the place for Measure T and against Measure T. So,
yeah, nobody's on the fence on that one.
no one's on the fence.
Yeah, they know what side of that measure they're on.
Important to have an opinion. And then in St. Helena, we have the mayor is running, the mayoral office, and then also 2 council seats as well. And that should be very interesting too. Most people don't realize. It's interesting, it's a town of 5,000 people, and yet they have a very active political life, very active council.
Calistoga had a tough mayoral race. Chris Canning is running unopposed, so that means you all know him.
Yep. Yes.
So that's kind of nice and interesting. It's always fun when that happens.
And then we have 2 council seats going up, and Iras, who is one of the incumbents, we talked with her a little earlier. That was very interesting. She was charming. So, and then we're going to go to a PSA now?
Yeah, let's talk a little bit more about all the benefits of Napa Valley TV.org.
Yes, exactly. It's an important place for the community. It's been around over 40 years. It's kind of conservative in its approach in that we are a First Amendment organization, but people don't realize that Napa Television has probably been the biggest teacher of video technology skills in the history of Napa. We've done more to help people develop in their skills. And it's amazing how many people have come through here and then gone on to careers in broadcasting and movies and films. So,
Absolutely.
And yet it's done from a very kind of humble little place that we are hoping to grow into a nicer space.
So make your voice heard and listen to this PSA.
Yes.
Have you always wanted to be on TV? Think you have what it takes to produce your own TV show that airs throughout Napa Valley? At Napa Valley TV, we can help make that a reality. Napa Valley TV airs on Comcast Channels 27 and 28, AT&T Channel 99, and online at napavalleytv.org. For more information, visit napavalleytv.org or call 707-257-0574 today.
So we should be getting some election responses and results in now?
Yeah, pretty soon.
It's always interesting because we're here on the West Coast, and of course the election nationally starts on the East Coast. We've been following this all day long to see what is going on in terms of national. But now we're finally starting to find out for ourselves.
But the polls are closed, so this should update for official starting. The official election results will be starting to come in. Of course, they're not final. We remember all the wonderful things that John Tudor told us about when their election is finalized, but we start to get some early numbers.
Yes. Now,
so let's refresh.
I've got a funny feeling that a lot of people have been watching or listening in on the national stage. And many people have said that this is the most important election of our generation. And it's also one of the most polarized of our generation, which of course is one of the reasons why it's so important. But it is really things have changed dramatically. And being in the middle of a pandemic.
I see.
Oh. Do we have some
Yeah,
results?
we look like we have some preliminary results coming in.
Just a second. Should be on there. Now we just have to be able to get it up on the screen.
Well, we're starting to get some results in.
Okay.
I'm scrolling down to see if we can see some of our local results, because even though they're showing some of the national results, that's really what we want to be looking at, the local ones right now, because I'm sure you've had your fill of watching the national ones all day long coming in. So we've got, let's go to... I've got the board member. Got Solano County, Napa. There's a lot of races that we're not even talking about. I've got mayor here.
Okay, there we go.
You've got it?
Yep, that's
Scroll down, because there's a lot of scrolling to be done.
Yes. Who's that Biden guy up the top there? And that Kamala.
The one that just popped out at me is the mayor for the city of Napa.
Okay.
I've got 97% of the precincts reporting, and it says that Scott Sedgley has 16,000 votes.
Okay.
Doris Gentry, 4,877 votes. Gerardo Martin with 3,710 votes. So it looks like Scott Sedgley is in the lead.
He's definitely in the lead. He's got a
Strong
substantial
lead. And while we're on Napa, in the city of Napa, we've got the City Council District 2.
Yep.
We've got, looks like Beth Painter is in the lead, but we have all 29 precincts reporting with 100%.
Oh.
So there was a total votes of 6770.
100%. Wow.
And Beth Painter is in the lead with
Yes.
39.
Yes. That's one of the great advantages of having the mail-in voting is that essentially on election day, I'm sure they just had stacks and stacks of votes, filled out votes just waiting to be processed by the machines. Now, in terms of City Council District number 4, Bernardo Narvaez, Bernie as he's known, has 3,096 votes, and Rene Casares has 1,396. And we also have 100% in. So Bernie is definitely the next council member. This is the second time that Bernie has run. And I remember when we were doing the PSAs, he was a great guy to work with. He's very, very charismatic, very engaged.
We would have started with American Canyon because we were going from down valley to up valley, right?
Yes. Yes. Though you do have to forgive us because, for COVID, we've had to do this so completely different from other years. It's the entire team has been a bit of a learning curve, you might say. So
I've got the mayor of American Canyon. It says the precincts reporting 12 of 12, 100%.
Ah, wonderful. And Leon
Garcia
seems like he has won.
3,007 votes. Mark Joseph, 1,817 votes.
Yes. Now I believe Leon is the incumbent mayor, so he's being returned to office again. A very dignified man. I very much enjoyed speaking with him.
It's on your computer, so scroll down.
And then
for the council seats, again, 100% of the precincts reporting. Miriam Abudamos is the winner with 3,028 votes.
Yes, but I believe there's 2 seats going up, so it's going to be the 2 first people, so the two first candidates. So also Pierre Washington.
Well, congratulations, Miriam and Pierre.
That's wonderful. And Miriam is, as I recall, is a relatively young woman too. I remember chatting with her. She was also charming. And Pierre was a very, very engaging gentleman as well. So good Good combination. Sorry to see that Joey Palma didn't get in because I thought he was great.
Well, and so, you know, the nail biter was the the mayor of Calistoga race. Congratulations, Chris Canning.
Yes, he got 100% of the votes.
On a great campaign.
1,073. So.
And then for city council in Calistoga, the winners are Iris Lopez Ortega and Michael Dunsford. 100% of the votes are in.
Good. Now I know Iras is one of the. She's currently in the council, and I believe Michael is as well. So the two incumbents were both returned. So that's good because they already have an idea of where everything is, how to turn the lights on. That's good to know. So, and then
we talked about city council for Napa,
yes.
but for District 2, we didn't mention, or did we mention District 4?
No, we didn't do District. Oh, yes, we did. Bernie.
Bernie, yes. Okay, sorry. So we're on to St. Helena.
You know, it's funny because people come into the studio and do PSAs. We do PSAs beforehand. We get to meet all these people. Yeah. You get to spend time and get to know them, and not just as names on a ballot. And it's really
great to put a face to it with these wonderful interviews that we've had from Sandy and
Kristin,
Brenda, and Kristin. So that was nice. So we're in St. Helena.
Yeah. The one good thing I have to admit about it is because we live in the city of Napa, a lot of these people we can't vote for, so we can root for multiple people.
That's
feel
right.
Bad for multiple people.
That's right.
Because there's a lot of good people running for office.
That's right.
So what do we have for St. Helena?
So Mayor of St. Helena, that's really a close one.
Oh, wow.
Close one, 733 votes, and the second highest vote count was 710. With Jeff Ellsworth just beating out Mary Koberstein.
Yeah, and Jeff and all three of these people are actually currently on the council. So all three were running for mayor, but it looks like Jeff has taken the
mayorship.
Yeah.
Yes, congratulations,
yes.
Jeff.
Yes, 100% in. Okay, and then city council, how are we doing there?
St. Helena.
And St. Helena, this is also very close. Oh my gosh.
Well, but two of them. So the two are only separated by a few votes, Lester Hardy and Eric Hall.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yes, congratulations, gentlemen. So.
Then we've got the town of Yountville.
Yes.
Council member.
Yeah, we vote for two.
Again, two very close, 593 votes. To 528 votes, Marjorie Moeller over Eric Knight.
Yes.
Congratulations again.
And let me just find and Marjorie is currently on it. And this is interesting. Knight is a newbie. This is his first time on there. The incumbent was actually Jeff Durham, but he's going to be replaced by Eric Knight. And a little bit of a change in the council, a little bit of new blood. That's always good. Doesn't hurt. But it's very satisfying that everything's coming in so quickly. I mean, that's really quite
I'm
remarkable.
surprised.
Yes.
Well, on the local races, there aren't as many votes to be counted. So I'm sure in the props, which are statewide, that will take a little bit longer to know. I wonder if we have a return for Measure T.
Oh, yes. Do we have a return for that?
We do.
Okay,
let's see what percentage. 100%.
I haven't gotten down to it yet.
4 precincts. I'm going to roll the drum roll.
I'm still
it's
trying
all
to
at
get
the bottom.
All the way at the
very
bottom.
last one.
Boy, talk about not having seniority. There we are. Okay. Oh no, they voted
it
no.
It said no. 721 said no, and 369 voted yes.
Yes.
100% of the precincts reporting.
Okay, so the mini prohibition
there will
continues.
not be a cannabis salon in Yountville.
Yes.
There's no joy in Mudville. is that?
Not that we're huge advocates of cannabis.
And now I'm showing my age, right?
Yes, exactly.
Okay. Some of the props are up too. That's kind of an interesting thing. At least we could look at the ones, Proposition 22, The app-based driver, yes, they voted yes for that.
Oh,
In
that's only,
Napa
oh, that's the
County.
Napa. That's, okay, this is state.
So this is reporting,
Yes, exactly. Exactly. Napa County results, we're being
Right.
told, we're being informed.
wow.
Yes.
And 15, the other one we talked about, so far that's edging out the no's with the yes at 21,333. Again,
Yes.
just Napa County, and not even all of those votes have been counted in Napa County as well.
98%.
So still time for that to turn around, right?
Okay, so roll in.
All right, so those are the early election results. And
Yes. Up. Guess what? Kristin Miller has found Bernie Narvaez.
Narvaez.
My fault. That's great. He's get him on and congratulate him.
Let's hear what Kristin and Bernie had to say.
I'm here with Bernie Narvaez. It's just after 8 o'clock. Bernie, the numbers are looking really good. How are you feeling right now about this?
You know, I'm feeling great. I'm just grateful that, you know, the voters in District 4, the city of Napa, they put their trust in me to be able to take on this big responsibility. We have a lot of challenges ahead of us. We got a lot of work ahead of us. So it's transitioning that work we put in the campaign to now the work we got put into city council and really do the work that's required to overcome these challenges and represent our community well, District 4 well, and the whole city.
That's awesome. So as you come into office, everything's going in your favor. You're the new city council member. What are you going to tackle first?
There's a lot of things on my list. We have a general plan that we need to adopt that really needs to tee it up for us for the next 20 years to make sure that we go in the right direction. As far as housing, our environment, our economy, there's a lot of things that we need to address. And first, adopting a general plan that will help us fulfill those goals, not just in my next 4 years, but in the next 20 years. That's one thing. The other thing that's really important is language equity. We've been through a lot of different pandemic, through fires, and we have to make sure that the information gets out effectively, accurately, and the languages that really make up our community. So we want to make sure that we can reach out to every resident in Napa so they can have the right information and stay safe.
Well, I love your passion. I'm excited for you and looking forward to see what happens as all the votes are tallied. Thank you so much for being here with us tonight.
Thank you. I'm just going to go celebrate with my wife and my family and just say thank you so much for putting your trust in me.
Thank you, Kristin, and congratulations, Bernie. We got our correspondents are working hard right now. We got Sandy standing by with Jeff. What's his last name?
Jeff Ellsworth, mayor-elect of
St.
Helena.
St. Helena. It's happening so fast.
Well, thank you, Lahni, and thank you, Ralph. Appreciate that. We're talking now for a few minutes here with Jeff Ellsworth, mayor of St. Helena. The returns are starting to come in, Jeff, and they show that you are ahead at the moment in the ballots and the voting. Of course, it's still preliminary, and there's still plenty of evening left. But I have to ask you, how does that make you feel at the moment? And what's going through your head now that you have a slight lead in the balloting?
Well, this is the point in the process where I like to keep an even keel. I've been through this a number of times, and I like to not look too far ahead, but sort of stay in the moment and keep looking at how things are going. Certainly would be happy to hear be serving another term. Be looking forward to that. But at this point, I just want to sort of keep an assessment of where we are and stay in that zone.
What might you say to your opposing candidates at this particular time, just in terms of how the campaigns have been run and that sort of thing?
Well, I just certainly would want, whatever happens in this election for for anybody elected to keep working forward, together as a community, looking at all the different balancing factors in our community, and work and sort of that commitment of working together with the full constituency.
Excellent. Well, good. Thank you so much. Really do appreciate your time, Jeff. And best wishes. We'll watch the returns continue to come in, and be excited about what happens in our valley and in St. Helena in particular now. In your case, certainly for the next time. So, take care, and thanks again for being so gracious.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Sandy and Jeff. And boy, our correspondents really are coming in. We've got Brenda Knight now coming in from American Canyon with Mayor Leon Garcia.
Well, hello, Mayor Leon Garcia. The polls have closed, and we're starting to get some numbers in, and just wondering how you're feeling right about now. And are you in that family bubble watching the count?
Oh, absolutely. And I'm thrilled. And it's just, in many respects, it's very humbling as well to know all the work and the support I got. And my heart and our thanks goes out to everyone. My thanks goes out to everyone who supported my campaign. It's always a lot of very hard work and very long days and long nights. And it's gratifying. I'm ready to get down to work on all the issues that are important to American Canyon. And I think probably one of the better ones right now to be all of us to be focused on is let's do what we have to do to get through this pandemic. We need to support each other and all be helpful with complying to all the requirements.
And my concern with us having this pandemic, what are some of the things that you're planning to do if the election goes as you plan and hope? What are you planning to do for the community and in the area of the pandemic? Because I don't know, it's kind of make it kind of tough for us. So,
my job just doesn't end at the desk. It's getting out there, making sure people understand what the impact of all this is. Do they have what are their needs being met? It's helping with small businesses as well out there are impacted, and certainly whatever restrictions there ease on the permit, et cetera, that the city can do, we should examine that. We already have in many respects. Outdoor dining is something that helps out a lot. I would just encourage people to do the required social distancing, but get out and support small businesses. And the same thing in the school system. What do the parents and the educators need in this crisis that will be helpful to them? Certainly I can deliver a message anywhere. Yes, I can. I do. The sooner we are compliant, the sooner this pandemic is over. And mine is to look out for people's needs.
How true. Well, I know you're going to be sitting around continuously watching the results as they come in. Keep in mind, Leon, this is a presidential year. So we don't know when it's going to be over. The end of the week, the end of the month, the end of the year. So hang in there and have support. And we thank you for joining us tonight. You take care.
Oh, thank you so much for hosting. You always do a great job with that. You want the hostess with the mostest.
Back to you, Lonnie and Ralph.
Thank you very much, Brenda. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you very much, and congratulations. Our correspondents are coming in real quick right now. We're going to Sandy Fagan and Jeff Durham in Yountville.
Thank you, Ralph. Thanks, Lonnie. And we're here with Michael Dunsford, and the results are beginning to come in. Michael, you are slightly in the lead, which is, I'm sure, gratifying. What are your thoughts about that? How do you feel about having the lead this early in the evening?
Well, it beats being behind. So, it feels good. It's nice to see that, you're in the lead, but I've been through this before, and these numbers really don't mean much. There's a lot of votes still to be counted. The fact that Napa County, mostly everybody mails in their ballot, means that many of those ballots have yet to be counted. Right now, I've been doing this for 16 years. I feel good about the things that I've done and the work that I've put in. And if there's going to be some sort of change, one of the other candidates ends up winning, I support that. I support them. And so right now it's just wait and see.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it. I know it's a busy time, busy evening for you. The race is nearly run, and we'll be waiting for the final returns again sometime now. But do take care of yourself and best wishes, sir. Now we'll go back to the studio and we'll go back to Ralph and to Lahni.
Thank you, Sandy. Thank you very much. By the way, that was the wrong person. I called it wrong, but you obviously saw who it was. But there's a lot of candidates tonight. It's hard to keep them straight sometimes. Now, it's interesting to see who was Napa voting for in the national elections. In Napa for president and vice president, Joe Biden so far has gotten 31,000 votes. President Donald Trump has gotten 10,000 votes, 10,392.
Look at all those other people running that you
Yes.
don't even
Yes.
realize were Joe Jorgensen and Jeremy Spike Cohen,
Yes.
Howie Hawkins and Angela Nicole Walker.
Yes, and Rocky de la Fuente Guerra and Kanye
Omari West.
who got 104 votes in Napa. Apparently
In Napa,
someone likes
okay.
his music.
Okay.
Now, for the United States Representatives in Congress District 5, oh my gosh, Mike Thompson is really sweeping it with 32,000 votes compared to Scott Giblin at 9,376.
And that's 188 out of 191 precincts reporting.
Yep. So I guess people like Mike. Good reason.
State Senator for District 3.
Yep, we got Bill Dodd, who's come in with 31,901 votes so far, and Carlos Santamaria, who's come in with 9,784. So once again, Bill Dodd is being returned to the office. For this member of the State Assembly, we have Cecilia Aguilar Curry has gotten 30,000 votes, 30,022 votes. And Matthew L. Nelson has gotten 11,257 votes.
So that looks like a return of Cecilia.
Exactly. And then we have our various different school districts. There's a lot of elections we don't cover basically because we have just 2 hours and we want to make sure that the candidates who are really your representatives day in and day out are covered. But for the Solano County, we have the Board of Education. We Napa Valley United School District Trustee.
Unified.
Oh, Unified School District Trustee. You can tell I don't have any kids in school right now. It looks like Eve Reiser is ahead at 1,690 votes to Sheila Martin with 1,400 votes. We have the Calistoga Joint Unified School District governing board member. And there, Rudy Gonzalez is ahead with 790 votes to Juliana Paula
Elkishin.
Elkishin,
Boy, that's very, very close, but it seems to say that all 7 precincts have reported and the vote is 100% in. So that means congratulations to Rudy.
Yes, it is one of the great advantages of having mail-in voting is that everything is coming in very quickly. And it seems like this is happening across the country, that how many states have already reported. People were thinking it's going to take a long time to get the vote in, and yet when we were watching the news before we came over here, a lot of states were already reporting that, with a great deal, they were closing the polls.
And somebody had asked me a question. They said if they, are the mail-in ballots, are they opened and counted before Election Day? They thought that they were going to wait and they were going to count them on election night. And so that's how they are able to get the results so quickly because they've already had them ready to be counted.
Yeah. Now, I was hoping that we could get, that Sandy could reach out to, who were we trying to interview before? Because he had one in St. Helena.
Jeff Durham?
Jeff Durham. I was hoping that we could get Jeff Durham on the line. I know Sandy was
Do we
saying
have that
something about
footage?
him. Yeah.
Great.
So good. Sandy, are you there?
And thank you, Ralph. Thanks, Lahni. Appreciate that. We have a few minutes to talk with incumbent candidate Jeff Durham for the Yountville Council. And Jeff, we're looking at some of the preliminary returns. You're trailing a bit, a little bit behind now. It's early in the count, absolutely, and we don't want to make any conclusions at this point, but you are trailing a little bit. I'm wondering, what do you think about that? Any thoughts about that at this point?
You know, the thing that I've noticed with Yountville over the past couple of elections is we were so fortunate with the high voter turnout, and everybody wants to participate and everybody wants to a say. And first and foremost, that's the most important thing about this election. Secondly, I made sure in my candidate statement in the Yountville Sun several months ago to exactly state what my ideas were for Yountville moving forward. And my intent was, whether I win or lose, everybody would know exactly where I stand and what I feel is right for all of us to work forward for Yountville. So I am proud of that.
If you could speak directly to your supporters and or to the Yountville community as though you were speaking to them directly, what would you what would you want to say to them?
I would say that I'm probably going to go away for a couple of weeks and take a little break. And I look forward to coming back and still maintaining my status as a very well-informed citizen, and look forward to still seeing everybody on the street. And I do hope that this engagement that we've had over the last couple of years, months, more importantly, will continue with the council meetings, will continue with the community as a whole.
Well, thank you for being so gracious, spending some time with us. Jeff, we really appreciate that. And again, best wishes. Take care.
Thank you, Sandy.
And now back to the studio to Ralph and to Lahni.
Thank you very much, Sandy. Thank you. It looks like we have Brenda with Miriam Abudamas, who is the incumbent who's now been returned to the council at American Canyon. Brenda, are you there?
Okay, Miriam, the polls are closed. And I know you're there with your family, and I know they're probably clapping and hollering because you're in the top 2, and those numbers are looking good, girl. So let's calm down for a minute. Now that it looks like you may be coming back to serve us, tell me so I can know first off, what are you planning to continue to do? What are those things you're just really anxious to get back to work on?
Absolutely. Brenda, I have a proven track record of working on what I say I'm working on, right? And I'm going to continue working on addressing our traffic problems. I'm going to continue working on the jobs housing imbalance, and I'm going to continue on working on bringing more affordable housing into our community.
Fantastic. And I know you are. And continue to watch those numbers, because it may be a while. Even though you in that top 2, this is a presidential election. It could go on for weeks, months, maybe a year. So we want to make sure that you stay with that family bubble to get that support. But you're on the council now, so you got to keep working, girl. So you're going to keep working and keep watching those numbers come in.
Exactly. I came here straight from a council meeting, so let's keep it up.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to join us. And it's been so great just knowing how hard you work and how it's looking good with the count. So take care, Miriam, and be seeing you around town. Okay, Ralph and Lahni, it's back to you in the studio.
Thank you, Brenda. That was great. Congratulations, Miriam. And we're very fortunate that we have Scott Sedgley, who's just become our new mayor of Napa. Scott, how you doing? Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much, and congratulations, Miriam.
Yeah, and you won with quite a nice margin. You really have quite a mandate. That's good. That shows a lot of people have a lot of confidence in you.
Well, you just never know. And, you know, my record, my experience, and who I've worked with and what I've worked at over the years in this town that I grew up in, I think that's what paid off. I mean, I'm kind of I'm a known entity, right? People know what they get with me, and I think that paid off. So yeah, I'm very, very happy. It's very, very, very successful campaign. It was long, and I'm glad it's over, and we're ready to go to work now.
I bet you are. I bet you are. It's funny. I always say that it's important to remember that Napa is a farming area, so they want to know how many vintages have you been around before they really trust you. And you have been around, and that's great, and developed a lot of experience.
Well, and thank you. This is Lahni Amicis, and thank you so much for your service over the years, and we look forward to more years of service from you as our mayor.
Well, thank you so much, and that's what we do in this business. We try to come to solutions. That's the whole. Not everybody is gonna get everything they want in every endeavor, but the idea is we do it honestly, we do it transparent, and we do it for what's in the best interest of our community, and that's all we can do.
And and you're following up on Mayor Jill, who's had a good long run, and really an excellent. Has been an excellent civil servant and an excellent leader. So it will be wonderful to see how you move into that role yourself.
Oh, thank you. They're big shoes to fill, and I worked with Jill on the school board, Napa Valley Unified School District Board of Trustees years ago. I was a new trustee when I worked with her for about a year before she left to go to council. So she's been a mentor of mine. She's been phenomenal. Her style of governance, her inclusiveness, everything she does has made a difference. And her legacy is going to be long lasting in our community. And if I can accomplish half of what Mayor Tekel has accomplished over the years, I'll be successful.
Well, on behalf of the television station, I'd like to invite you to come in and do some interviews once you're in office, to be able to put together some messages to the town to give them an idea of who you are and what your vision for the town is.
I'd be honored. I'd love to do that.
Wonderful. So, Scott, I'm sure you're up to your ears busy with people calling you, and congratulations. We really appreciate you taking the time to talk with us and the town.
Thank you so much. Thank you for what you do, and look forward to us working together.
Wonderful. Thanks again. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good night.
So that's our new mayor, Scott Sedgley. Oh my gosh, we have Kristin Miller is standing by now with Beth Painter, who has won in Napa as a councilwoman.
It's after 8 and the polls have closed. We're joined now by Beth Painter, District 2, running for City Council. Beth, the numbers look really good. How are you feeling?
Well, first of all, I'm feeling just so excited. I've got a Zoom party going on in the other room. I know it's early and it's not over till it's over, but I am feeling really excited about the numbers. And I just want to quickly say that I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the support of my number one, my husband Brooks, and all of the people who have helped me over the last 16 months to get to this point. It's been an incredible journey, and I'm just grateful for what everybody's done.
That's awesome. So assuming everything goes as planned for you, what do you want to tackle when you first get into office?
We take our council seats fairly quickly in early December, and we're going to still be in the grips of COVID. Our highest priority is to work with our residents and our local businesses to make sure that we support our economy in a really safe and stable manner. We need to work with our school districts to make sure that schools can continue on a track towards more opening and get us through to spring. I think then sort of the other side of that coin is our vision for the future and how we will continue to build on our new general plan for a vision that brings us to 2040 and not just with some new opportunities, looking at climate resiliency, looking at environmental justice, and looking at the diversity of our community. So there's just lots of work to do.
Well, you're going to be busy, and I want to wish you luck and thank you for being here with us tonight.
Thank you, Kristin.
Back to you, Lahni and Ralph.
Thank you, Kristin. And we've got our correspondents getting the candidates ready for us really quickly. So we're going to go right to Sandy in Yountville with Margie Moeller.
Well, it's shortly after the 8 o'clock hour now, election night. And Margie, it appears that you're running a little bit in the lead. And of course, it's early, but it's got to be heartening for you. Any reflections on how you're feeling at this particular time, knowing that the early returns have you a little bit ahead of your challengers?
Well, thank you, Sandy. It's always great to, after all this work and excitement and different challenges, to really hear what the voters of Yountville, who they'd like to see for the next 4 years. So I'm very grateful. I'm very excited and really looking forward to the next 4 years on our wonderful Yountville Town Council. Thank you.
Absolutely. And thank you again for your time. We really appreciate the fact that in a rather busy time of the evening, you would be able to take some time for us. We'll toss this back now to Lori and to Ralph.
Sandy, thank you very much, and congratulations, Marge. Seems like things are going very well tonight.
It's so good that we have these correspondents really getting all the candidates together so quickly.
Yeah.
They're doing a great job out there between Sandy and Brenda and Kristin.
Well, you know, in previous years, we would be down at the City Hall, and we would have our people run over to the various restaurants where they were having parties, bring a camera, do footage, run back over. We would convert the footage really quickly and then put it on the air. So all night long, people were driving back and forth. So we only got a certain amount of live coverage. Well, this year, everyone's working from home. Everyone's working virtually using, you know, the online systems. So all it really takes them is being on their computer, lining up with the person, getting them lined up, getting online, and having the conversation with them. And it's really very, very helpful. I mean, it's a very different way of doing things. And in fact, Brenda, who has been our correspondent from American Canyon for the last several elections, has been the host down at City Hall. It was her and Carrie, and I'm trying to remember who the third person was, but we had 3 people to do it, and it was always wild because people would walk in and walk out and things like that. But now, because of COVID, we're all having to work in more controlled situations, so everything's being done virtually. It's been really quite a different experience. And for us, it's very different because our shows are all done on location. And so we never have to work live. I mean, it feels like we're back in our professional speaking days when we would be live with an audience. So
Right. Did we want to check in on the national results again, or they're not really going to change here from this viewpoint, are they? We have this this tracking map here.
They said in terms of the national elections, they say it's been a tight race so far between Vice President Biden and President Trump at this point. So we'll see, you know. 2. Okay. Don't cut to the line. Okay. In fact, at this point, Vice President Biden has 192 electoral vote, and President Trump has 114. So it's crunching along. It's a big country.
We're not going to know the results for that for a long time. I mean, there's so many states that have to have extended counts for their mail-in ballots and all of the stuff that's going on there. But we'll see what we can find out.
It's interesting. In the Senate, it's so far in terms of the count, it's 42 Democrats and 42 Republicans.
Really?
So it's very, very close there. It's very, very close. You know, and they're saying that Arizona, Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin are increasingly crucial in the battle, which they predicted beforehand that these were going to be the the crucial states. So we'll see. We'll see. And I'm sure we're going to be hearing about this for quite a while. After all, a major portion of the population lives on the East Coast. There's a lot of people to count and around the Great Lakes. So.
Well, I think we have Sandy Fagan standing by with Peter White. Oh. Sandy.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Ralph. Thanks, Lahni. We are talking a bit now with Peter White, and Peter is a candidate for mayor of St. Helena. Peter, the returns are beginning to trickle in, and you're trailing a little bit behind some other candidates. And I'm wondering, any thoughts at this particular time about that? And, you might even take a minute, if you'd like, to speak to your supporters and to the community at large about the backing and support that you've experienced thus far.
Sure. I would like to thank all of my supporters. Whether I win or whether I lose, I will remain loyal to this city and to help out whoever does win to the best of my ability. I mean, we all need to pull together and solve the problems that St. Helena faces over the next 2 to 4 years. So good luck to the rest of the candidates. I hope that I win, but and also, again, thank you to all my supporters.
We appreciate your time. Thank you so much, Peter White, very gracious to us in spending time with us tonight. Thank you very much, Peter. We really appreciate it. And now I'll toss us back to the folks at the station.
Thank you, Sandy. And thank you very much, Sandy. Sandy stepped up at the last minute when we were trying to find correspondents and really came through for us. She's doing just a fantastic job tonight. So, but we're very fortunate that we're having our correspondents working very quickly because we're starting to run out of time. We have only another 17 minutes to the top of the hour. And I think do we have Brenda? Brenda's standing by with Pierre Washington, who's been returned who is now a new member of the Council of American Canyon. Congratulations, Pierre.
Okay, Pierre, it's so good to see how the voting is going. I know you got to be excited there with your family bubble and being with the numbers like they are. If this trend continues, man, you're going to be in there. You're going to be American Canyon City Council member. So tell us, what are your plans? What are you planning to do to serve the community?
Well, first, Brenda, I'm just excited. I'm really excited, and I just want to get started. I just think that, hey, look, I'm ready to go. Tell me when to start, and I'm starting. I want to, like I said earlier, address the public safety, the social equality, and the affordable living pieces. And I'm going to do exactly what I've told all the residents in American Canyon that I plan on doing.
Well, the way it's going, we just might be calling you Council Member Pierre Washington. I know I'm not there, but I can hear your family getting all excited, popping those champagne bottles. Tell them to hold on. But it's looking good for you. So we looking at you. We're going to be keeping tabs on you. So Pierre, get you some rest because you know what? You got a lot of work to do for this community. We may be small, but we demand a lot. So we ready for you.
Thank you, Brenda. I appreciate that. Virtual hugs to you.
Okay, Ralph and Lahni, back to you in the studio.
Thank you, Brenda, and congratulations, Pierre. We're going to go right to Sandy Fagan with David Campbell for Council in Napa.
Thank you, Ralph. Thank you, Lahni. And we're with David Campbell, candidate for City of Napa Council. David, we've got some preliminary returns. It appears that you may be trailing a bit behind your other candidates. I'm wondering how, at this early, and then obviously there are many returns yet to be counted, but at this early return, what do you think? How do you feel?
I feel particularly gratified that many of the issues that we raised became important issues that many of the candidates had to deal with during the campaign. And I think we've changed the course of the conversation. And to that extent, we've been very successful in what we've done. I thank the people who have been working with me, my campaign staff, my friends and associates who have put together this campaign for me, and I am very appreciative of the hard work that they've done. And I think they too are gratified that the issues that we raised have become such an important part of this election process this time.
Well, thank you very much. I know it's going to be a long night, and you may have much to do, so I don't want to keep you unnecessarily, but I want to thank you for being so gracious and for taking your time away from other things you could be doing to chat with us a bit. We appreciate that, and best wishes to you.
Well, thank you very much, and to you.
Thank you very much, Sandy. Thank you very much, David, for running for office. Better luck next time. I think we got Brenda's like a force of nature. She's standing by with Eric Altman, who was not returned, who was not voted in, but he made a good showing. So Brenda, are you there?
Hi, Eric. I was just looking at the numbers, and I know they're not where you thought they should have been right about now, but this is the beginning. The polls only been closed for a while, so I know you're going to be up with your family watching those numbers. So tell me, what's going through your mind right now?
Well, I'd love to be a little bit higher early, but there's a lot of votes still to be counted. There's some early votes are in, but there's a lot of late votes. I don't know how people voted, whether they got in early or they're going late. I'm still, optimistic that we'll get this turned around, because this is, as you said, Brenda, this is early, and I got to look at it. You've got my colors on. You've got the balloons, the blue and the orange, and so I'm excited nonetheless that we're gonna pull it out in the end. Maybe late, maybe a long night, maybe a long month, because I don't think we're gonna have it all totaled tonight, but we're hopeful.
That's right. And I'm glad you know that it may not end tonight. It may not end this week. It may not end this month. So hang in there, Eric, and good luck to you, and continue to hang with your family bubble and be ready for the outcome whenever it comes.
We're hoping that the outcome's going to put me on that seat on the council, and we're going to take it from there. And if not, hey, all I know is I've run a clean and fair race with everybody, and for not having that much money, I hope I've done a credible job, and we'll see what happens. But I'm hopeful that at the end we'll end up on that council.
Thank you, Eric. Love that attitude. Love that spirit. Good luck to you. And thank you for joining us. Okay, Ralph and Lahni, it's back to you.
Thank you, Brenda. Thank you, Eric. So we're going to do a little bit of a recap on the races.
Yes.
So we have, Scott Sedgley won for mayor in Napa.
Scott.
I mean, it seems to be all of the votes are in, so that sounds pretty sure.
For the council, we have Beth Painter and Bernie Narvaez came in for the council. So Napa's pretty set now. This is a whole other thing. This is interesting too, because with Scott has been the only man on the council. Since the last election, it's been all women council members except for Scott. But now at least Scott will have one other man on the council. So this will be interesting. It's a nice mix-up, combining things together. And then
so we can look at Calistoga.
Calistoga, we have Chris, of course.
Of course, we had Chris, the incumbent.
Yes.
And then in the city of Calistoga for city council, we had Iraís and Michael Dunsford.
Yeah.
Are the two council members.
Incumbents returning.
We already did Napa. And then in St. Helena, looks like Jeff Ellsworth for mayor. Then we had the two council members, are Lester Hardy and Eric Hall.
Yep.
Yountville.
Yep, we have Marjorie Moeller and Eric Knight.
Congratulations.
Yep.
Did we get them all? St. Helena?
Yeah.
I don't think we got St. Helena. And I don't see it. Oh, right, we did do
Yes.
Jeff Ellsworth. So, sorry about that. There's a lot of scrolling here, you know?
Yes.
But we, and the measure in Yountville,
The measures?
that didn't go.
That didn't go.
And so we'll have some more results
then-
for the propositions
Yep.
because they're statewide and all those results aren't in yet.
Yes. Well, but they are coming in at this point with, well, with 30% reporting. Proposition 14, we have 52% is saying yes. Proposition 15, which is a change of commercial property tax, they have 50.8 saying yes with only 30% reporting, so that's still in the air. The end of diversity band, there's 53.1% saying no. Interesting. Let's see.
You got it.
Oops.
Oh, go back.
Sorry?
Back up. You can use your.
Oh, okay. I do have that. Sorry.
Yeah.
There's a lot of propositions. Okay. Restore former felon vote. 61% is coming yes, saying yes with 30% reporting. California Proposition 18, allow.
That was interesting to me, to allow people age 17 to vote in the primaries.
52.3% is saying no, Lonnie.
I don't understand that.
Yes, well, if they'd let the 17-year-olds vote on that, they would have definitely passed, don't you think?
Prop 19 changes the property tax rules. That looks like that's going to pass.
Yes, and that's very much, that was basically a help to older people that they could transfer over their tax status to another property. You know, another situation to prevent people from being forced out of their houses because of taxes. That's how I read it. Okay. Oh, this is interesting. California Proposition 20. That was stricter parole and sentencing. 63.1% say no. So people don't want it made tougher. People don't want more people going to jail. I agree with that. California Proposition, local government rent control. 56% says no. Interesting. They basically want to stick with their with the previous proposition that the state that governs from the state. 22 app-based drivers as contractors, not employees. 56.7% said yes.
But only 30% are reporting so far.
That's
so
true, but $200 million goes a long
see.
way in an election.
That's true.
So, expand consumer privacy. 58% say yes. And then
well, the dialysis clinic, you forgot.
Oh, didn't I?
61% no.
Oh.
That was to require to have
require
a
a doctor.
physician in the dialysis clinic, and
yeah. A lot of money went behind that one too. You know, from the actual organizations that make the money from it. They put a lot of money behind that. So, and then California Proposition 25, approve replacing cash bail. 53.1% said no. Huh. I'm a little surprised.
well, so that's the props so far. But remember, they're not all those votes are not
30%.
counted yet. So that's all we know so far.
The rest of the state's not as quick as Napa is, apparently. We're very quick here. So actually, it's interesting. Napa has a long tradition. John Tudor told me that. I think he mentioned it in the video. Napa has a long tradition of being the first county to report every single year, and has been doing this year after year in elections. It's the first county, and he's very proud of that. That they're very, very efficient, especially when you consider the high number of people who vote here. It's very impressive. The very strong sense of civic participation in Napa.
Well, and talking about civic participation, if you didn't vote in this election, please register to vote. It's a very important thing. Your voice matters. You only get that one vote. And if you join with others with your vote, that's what gives you the power to make the change you want to see in the world. Okay. So please figure out how to get your registration in for the next election. And it's just a very important thing to do.
Exactly. Now, to look at the national, currently, give you a little update on that. Currently, Vice President Biden has 209 electoral votes, and President Trump has 118.
Well, you know, they've got those states that are in play, that Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania. They haven't called Florida yet. They may not call Florida for a long time.
Yes.
Texas is, you know, whoever thought that Texas was going to be a swing state, but it's really kind of in play. You know, they've got it in the map. It's pink. And so that's been such a red state that's a little bit surprising. And, you know, as the polls close, they're going to be counting more and more of these votes. And, of course, unfortunately, we're going to have to wait. Although, you know, people are making such a big deal about how waiting until, you know, a day, a week, a month after the election. We've had situations like that all for a long time. You know, we never really know, unless there's a real landslide, which hasn't happened in a long time. We don't really know on election day.
It's not certified for quite a while. And back in the early days of the Republic, you know, people would, it would take weeks and months sometimes to find out because things were being brought in by horseback.
And remember, election day is a day to vote. That doesn't mean they have to all be counted.
Right.
You know, we have servicemen
Yes.
who send in their ballots.
And servicewomen.
And servicewomen, yes, of course. And, you know, their votes have to count. I mean, you have to be able to count the votes for all the people who took the time to register to vote.
In the embassies. So it's you know, the America's a big international place in many ways. So there's still no new updates from the county office, but you can definitely check them out at the county site for updates. Though, you know, at this point, we have a lot of cases, we have 100% in. Very impressive, Napa. Good job voting.
Yeah, you can go to countyofnapa.org/402/election-results.
Yes, exactly. And of course, make sure you visit the Napa Valley TV. Was it NapaValleyTV.org?
Yes,
It is,
obviously.
For interesting information, because after all, when things happen, we know about it.
We have a lot of people to thank.
We do. Oh my God.
We do. We want to thank our correspondents. They did yeoman service. They really were great out there with all the candidates, and we want to thank all the candidates. But, you know, the interviewers were Sandy Fagan, Brenda Knight, Kristin Miller. Gosh, you guys really did a great job. We really appreciate you being out there and tracking all the people down and doing such great work for us out there in the field.
And we want to thank our team here in the studio. We want to thank Jessica Luthi, who has been manning our social media all night long. It's very important. At the same time, we want to thank Justin Bernard, who's our program director, who's been manning the board in the back. We want to thank our executive director, who's acted as the co-producer on this, James Raymond, who has been up to his ears with this the entire time. And every time the election comes around, we know we're going to be working on it because James basically gets all the volunteers together because it is, after all, a First Amendment right, our right to be able to speak out. So please, become involved with the TV station, especially if you want to make sure that your voice is heard.
And we hope you enjoyed the live streaming, both on the local channels and on Facebook in high def and on YouTube in high def. And please find us and like us on your social media channels because we like to make friends.
Yes, exactly. I mean, has there ever been any time in history when video has been more important than right now? So thank you very much for joining us. It's been an exciting day, and that's the celebration of democracy for you.